Hey everyone, Brian Ragone from Puzzle. Today, we're going to walk through the 5 inputs that you can put into the puzzle step card so that it becomes very easy for anyone who's looking at your process diagram to understand exactly what that step does. So let's walk through it. The first part of the step card is the tool input. So anytime you assign a tool to a step card, it will display the tool's logo at the top. Now we have over 2,000 tools in our tool database, and if there's any tools that aren't in our tool database, our users can actually add tools to that database. And so it's a community-built directory where you'll always be able to add any logo to the top of your process diagram. Now, why is this important? It's important because in any process, in any business, every single step uses some sort of tool, whether it's a physical tool or a digital tool. So having the logo at the top makes it crystal clear exactly how all of your tools are used across all of your processes when you start to build out multiple steps within Puzzle. The cool part about it is that you can go ahead and assign multiple tools to this tool card and click on the primary tool so that you can display the primary tool at the top. So that's the tool input. The second input that I want to walk through is the step status. At the top left of your step card, you will see an icon. And right now, the icon indicates that this step is live. But there are different statuses that you can designate to your step to say that it's in draft stage, meaning your team is thinking about implementing this step in a broader process. You can also designate that it's in progress and it's being built. You can designate that you're testing this part of the process, or you can designate that this is an archived step and it's no longer part of the published process. What this step status allows you to do is when you're building out a larger process, you can designate which parts of the process you're already done building, which parts of the process you're testing, and using the draft stage, for instance, to designate ideas that you have across your process that you might want to implement in the future. Now let's talk about role and responsibility. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that there's an acronym that says AE. So this acronym right here represents the associated role that is responsible for this part of the process. This is a manual step, right? This is where the account executive creates a new contact in HubSpot. But let's actually say that the account executive doesn't do it, but in fact, we have an automation that does it. Well, this indicator in the bottom left-hand corner of the step card, it's called the executor input. And so what that means is that you can designate whether it's a person doing this part of the process, a system doing this part of the process, or even an AI agent that will take care of this part of the process. What becomes very valuable here is that when you have a larger process map, it makes it super easy for a specific role, let's say an account executive or a sales representative, to come into your diagram and understand very quickly where are the parts of the process where my role contributes. And that's what this indicator right here helps with. The fourth input that's very important is in the bottom right-hand corner. So this input is what's called a step type. So step types can vary, and we have tons of options. Right now, this is a workflow or a checklist of items that need to happen, but that might not be representative of this step because it's really only one task that needs to happen. Well, we can switch the step type to task, and it will show a different icon. Let's say that this step was actually a phone call. We have a step type called phone call, and there's tons of them. There's meetings, there's notifications, there's form steps, there's emails. And so when you're building out larger process maps, you can get very specific about which parts of the process are which types of work, which means when you're presenting a process either internally at your organization or externally to clients that you're building a process for, when they're looking at this step card, they immediately know this step uses HubSpot. This step is currently being built because it's in draft stage. The account executive would be and is responsible for this step, and it's a workflow step that the account executive has to do. The last input that's super powerful within Puzzle is you're able to designate how much estimated time it takes an account executive to do this part of the process. So you can see that I have this 1 minute indicator that tells me on average, account executives take about 1 minute to do this step. And so when you input the amount of time that it takes for each step of a process to work, Puzzle will actually help you calculate how much time is the account executive on a monthly and annual basis spending manually creating contacts in HubSpot. so that you can identify the parts of the process that are taking the most amount of manual time. This input is actually tied to our step cost calculator feature, which not only allows you to input time, but you can also input how much you're paying the person who does this step. And so it calculates the dollar amount that you're spending for your account executive to create contacts manually. And this is the key difference between Puzzle and other diagramming tools like Miro, Lucidchart, and Whimsical. Oftentimes, folks have to build out a custom visual language for their diagram, but we've done that for you here to support what would be a modern business operations. One that is very complex, uses multiple systems, and has opportunity for automation and AI agents. So when you start to get into broader processes, right, you can see that when you connect all of your steps here, you get a very good view of which parts of the process are live, which parts of the process are used by different tools. You can see we have Beehive here, we have Clay, Slack, and it's just very easy to read. And ultimately, the purpose of a diagram is to show it to a person who doesn't know how a process works. That's the purpose of a diagram, is to communicate how a process works, whether that's a human in the loop process or a fully automated process across different tools.